is Debbie Reynolds. They call me the Data Diva. Today I want to talk about data privacy and global identity systems interoperability. So global data systems or data systems in different jurisdictions around identity are very different. So every country or jurisdiction can choose whatever data system they want. We actually have a huge problem with that in the US, where, for example, every state has their own way in terms of, for example, let's say their driver's license systems. They may be different in ways that they are not interoperable. So this particular organization called GAIN, the Global Assured Identity Network, they are working on a project. They've been working on it for a year thus far to try to find ways to create interoperability, meaning that, for example, let's say there's an identity document in the US. If it needs to transfer over, let's say, to the UK or a different country, that it can be done easily and cheaply. So the idea is to be able to do these data exchanges in a way that doesn't create more cost or more time or more expense for any organization or government that's trying to do this data exchange. And the reason why this is a big deal is because a lot of times these types of data systems or identity systems are built and created in a vacuum. So they're really not thinking about interoperability. So being able to have an organization that's really focused there is really important. Currently, they've done what they call a common OpenID Connect for Identity Assurance Profile, which is helping to demonstrate how these different jurisdictions can create interoperability in the way that they exchange data and information. So I think currently they have the countries that have already signed on are things like Canada, Singapore, the UK. They are following up on countries like India, Australia, and even NIST in the US. This particular project is pretty interesting if you look into it. They're thinking about data in terms of, let's say, a data layer and also a control layer. So the idea is to not only create the interoperability, but then also make these data exchanges in a way that can grow with technology. So being able, for example, have data in a way that's kind of more decentralized. So sort of the node method, where a person can hold or have control over their own identity, and then not being a centralized system, but then having a system that can authenticate without having that data. So in addition to interoperability, they're also trying to build in more security for someone's digital identity, and then also making sure that it's something that other countries can use. So I'm hoping that this will be more of a model of how different jurisdictions try to build systems and build interoperability. We know for a fact, and this has been the case for decades, that many companies have been, not open source, not wanting to kind of share their standards. That creates kind of a walled garden in a way that may not necessarily be the best case, especially when you're dealing with something like identity and someone needs to, for example, transfer their data from one jurisdiction to another. It just becomes a Tower of Babel. And I think that having more focus on interoperability should be the focus of a lot of companies, especially as it relates to kind of privacy and people's data in terms of their ability to move it from one place to the other. That's it. Thank you.